morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Thanks for joining me again today. Do me a favor, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit that bell notification. Help me spread the word, because the word today is killing it. Killing it on this channel. We're going to show you proof today that basically every single trade I bring you wins versus Bitcoin, at least. Every single last one of them. 5 for 5. We're gonna go over the biggest winner today in detail, and we're gonna show you our Bitcoin predictions. Bitcoin, so 5 for 5 trades versus Bitcoin, all 5 alts, all winning. But our Bitcoin analysis has proven to be 100% accurate. For the last couple months, really. So if you like that, if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. So let's start with Bitcoin, right? CPI numbers came out today, lower than expected. The stock market took off, DXY went down, and Bitcoin went up, but it didn't break any of those resistance levels or support levels yet that I thought today would break. Still think it's coming soon. And maybe with the lower CPI number, the resistance line will break, but I still have a sneaky suspicion that lower, the easier path is to break the support. We'll see, but let's look at the chart, right? The chart that I've shown you for months at this point. This red line. Anybody else? Have you seen anybody else anywhere in crypto Twitter, anywhere in crypto YouTube, have that resistance line? Not one single person I've seen. In fact, we went over yesterday, several people, and I saw several more today talking about, well, CPI number is lower, we're heading to 28,000 right away. I've seen people say we're going to 30,000 in 5 days, or we're going to 40,000 in the next couple weeks. I mean, the amount of bullishness at resistance is ridiculous, right? Nobody else has shown you this resistance. And I told you it was going to be tough to break. I've said all along that we're going to break it someday. We're going to break it. Whether it's this week, a month from now, 6 months from now, we're going to break this resistance line. And not to get excited about Bitcoin until we break above it, until we hold it, until we come back down and test it as support. So we're a long ways from taking a trade, in my opinion, on Bitcoin. But why do you care? Because we're killing it on alts. Every single alt trade I brought you is beating Bitcoin. Every single one, 5 for 5. So let's look at the Bitcoin resistance, because nobody else has told you about this resistance. Not one single person I've seen. And I follow several people. Not one single person has shown you this. So this red line, right? Let's shrink everything down here. Let's shrink it all down. Keep an eye on this middle red line as we shrink everything down here, right? This middle red line, going back a couple years almost at this point. Look at that. So look at that middle red line. It served as support back here. We broke the support, and then it served as resistance right in here, and then we broke it again, served as support again before we went to all-time highs, came back down, served as support again, served as support again, served as support for like a month right here, right? So it only makes sense. Such strong support. I mean, you can't make that up. That line is proof positive that it's a valid line, right? Look at all the times it acted as support and resistance, and for going back for 2 years, like I said at this point. So when such a line is self-evident, you have to pay attention to it. So I told, and I'm the only one that's been talking about this. So that line it was totally obvious after we broke this support back here, right? The support that we held for over a month back in May and June, when we broke it finally, it was obvious that this was gonna be strong resistance now. Well, look at, back in July 30th. We went right up to it, right? I've had this line on here for months at this point. And look at that. I mean, I had that line there. It went right up to it, to basically the dollar got rejected, and we came back down off the blue line, which I've had there for quite a while too, right? And I told you that was going to be support once we broke it. Well, we bounced off the blue line as support. Then look at this again. August 8th, right up to the dollar, that resistance line. Again, I told you, it's strong resistance. We're not going to break it easily. And so we got rejected again to the dollar pretty much. Came down and almost tested the blue line, right? We kind of bounced off the blue line again. And look at today. Today, after the CPI numbers, what happened? We wicked to resistance again. Got rejected. Now we're bumping up against it today, right? The day today just started for Bitcoin, and we're right under that line. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to break it, right? I've always said we're going to break it again, but will it be today? I don't know. It is strong resistance. We're not, everybody's been telling you, and all these fools who've been telling you, click my link. Send your crypto to this exchange, get a bonus, I get a bonus, and everybody's happy, right? But they're telling you to do that at resistance. Don't do it. Don't do it. You need to break that resistance. We need to hold above it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. Come back and test that resistance as support, and then bounce off of it as support with some volume, and then you can be assured that maybe you have a better assurance, right? That higher trust or confidence level that we're going to go higher. But only then, in my opinion, not financial advice. But that's my game plan. Until then, who cares? We're killing it on alts, right? We're killing it on alts. So let's see what happens today, right? I'm still thinking that this week one of these is going to break, and maybe right now it's looking more like the resistance is going to break. Maybe we're going to break that red line. I mean, we're starting to go up a little bit today already. It's just a new day by like 10 minutes, but we're moving up. So maybe today's the day we break it. We'll see. But again, I don't have any Bitcoin, so I don't care. And one of the reasons I don't have any Bitcoin is because our trades are killing it in alts. Yes, since day one on this channel, I've been doing this channel for 14 weeks. I've been telling you dollar cost average into mainly ADA. ADA will outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum by the end of the year, a year from now, and 5 years from now. And by in those same time frames, any new money put into Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin. Well, how's that looking for us? Well, so far, ADA and Ethereum already are outperforming Bitcoin, right? We gather our evidence. We dollar cost average into each of these, $100 each week. We've been doing it for 14 weeks. ADA and Ethereum are winning versus the US dollar, right? We're making profits in our dollar cost averaging against the US dollar. So they're up above $1,400 because we put $1,400 into each of these. Bitcoin's down by $10. Plus, Bitcoin is losing to ADA and Ethereum already. Not even by the end of the year. I told you that would beat ADA and Ethereum would beat Bitcoin. But don't believe me. Let's look at some evidence. Let's look at what I was saying about Ethereum about 2 months ago and what I was expecting for a return. Now, when I play this video, pay attention to where we are located on the chart. It's the ETH versus Bitcoin chart, the weekly chart. Pay attention to where we were on the chart when I was making the video, and when I expected the return versus the ADA, which I'm more bullish on ADA, but ADA is a longer term play than the Ethereum return that I was expecting. So pay attention to that because we nailed it. Today we hit the tippy top of the return I was expecting. So we'll play that video and then we'll talk about what I expect from Ethereum going forward. So here it is.
There's a second one, and it's we're going to look at the ETH BTC chart, and again I'm looking at Coinbase, and again I'm looking at the weekly. Okay, so as that comes up, now I want to preface this. I'm not as excited, I'm not as pumped, that's why I'm calling it the second most bullish chart in crypto. I'm not as pumped about this one for two factors. Well, one factor mainly. Oh, yeah, one factor. The return isn't as big, right? Well, first of all, I'm more excited about Cardano than Ethereum, so maybe there's two factors. I'm more excited about Cardano than Ethereum to start with, but the other factor is I don't think the return on this trade is as big. It might get there sooner. So that 3x, right? That 3x I'm talking on ADA, it might take a year for us to get there. It might take longer than a year. This one I think will be faster, but it will only return about 50%. So let's look at it. If it works out the way I think it's going to work out. So right now we're right on this support line for Ethereum, and it goes back over a year. It goes back to how perfectly this is December of 2020. It held there, held here, and we're right on it again. We're right on it. I mean, we wicked down below it this week, right? But we've come back right to settle on top of it. And this is exactly last week is when I told you about this chart, right? At 0.052. So 1 Ethereum equal 0.052 Bitcoin. Now, I told you, the reason I brought that ADA chart to you then, right, is because it was ripe. I didn't tell you about it 6 weeks ago when I started this channel because it wasn't ripe yet, that chart. I told you new money in ADA will outperform by the end of the year, but I waited until the chart was ripe. This ripe on the vine. Wasn't rotten because it hadn't passed. It was perfectly ripe. It wasn't too soon. And that's why I brought it to you, a couple weeks ago, that ADA chart. And that's why I brought this Ethereum one to you last week, because it's perfectly ripe right now. It's at the perfect moment to invest. And I told you at 0.052, right? 0.052 Bitcoin. And right now we're at 0.0526. So we're up a little bit. I mean, we're basically even, right? But it's perfectly ripe right now. It's perfectly ripe. And if we get up to this blue line at 0.076 Bitcoin, that would be about a 50% return. And again, what does that mean? That means you take 1 Bitcoin and put it in today, and it does come to fruition. You turn it into 1 Bitcoin into 1.5 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin into 3 Bitcoin. How? Without new money, without any new money in the game, without trading on leverage. We have an inside track by just examining the charts, playing Bitcoin against the superior coins in my mind, right? And then when you get sufficient returns in those superior protocols, then you can put it back into the stable coin that is Bitcoin. That will go up over time. But you're not gonna get the returns you will in ADA and Ethereum in my.
Okay. Right? We nailed it. We nailed the exact bottom. Well, today we got to that target, right? Now I've already, in full disclosure, I already took profits. Follow me on Twitter. I talked about, or I tweeted about it last week. I took profits right before we got to that blue line because, I was talking about a 50% return. I took profits at a 45% return, just in case, right? We wicked up and wicked down real quick. I wanted to lock in profits, and there's nothing wrong with that. I suggest that to everybody. Lock in profits when you're at or near your goal. Lock in profits. So let's look what happened today in Ethereum. So let's go to it. ETH again, the ETH versus Bitcoin chart, and we're going to look at that same chart, same Coinbase chart, and we're going to look at the weekly, right? So we were talking about it down here. This is the week right here that we were just talking about this on that video I just played, right? And then what happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. 9 weeks. And they are all bullish except one. All green except one. Now look what happened today. Now the weekly candle hasn't closed, right? So we are above the blue line, meaning we have exceeded the profit, my expected profit. So taking a profit right now, you're 50% gain in Ethereum versus Bitcoin from when we talked about it first on this channel. 50%, meaning if you had gone in and like I did, moved out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, you'd have if you had taken 1 Bitcoin and moved it into Ethereum, you had 1.5, just like I said in that video. Or 2 Bitcoin, you'd have 3 Bitcoin if you moved it back to Bitcoin today. You can't beat that return in 2 months. 8 out of 9 weeks have been bullish. And I the other thing I said on that video, right? I'm more bullish on Cardano because I expect that my Cardano trade is going to return a 3x. But I also said, this return on Ethereum was going to be a quicker turnaround. I was expecting a 50% return, but it was going to arrive faster than the ADA return. Well, that's exactly what happened. We are nailing it on this channel. Absolutely, positively nailing it. So, I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you jumped in this trade with me down here, you might want to think about locking in some profits, because here's what I expect for Ethereum, right? This weekly candle hasn't closed. I would not be surprised if we close below this blue line, and eventually work ourselves back down to the red support, somewhere in here, maybe, anywhere in here, and bounce off that support one more time before coming back up to revisit the blue line as resistance. Eventually, and maybe it happens this time, we break this upper blue line, right? Break it like we did back here, right? We broke it back here, and stay up above it for a month or two, come back down and test the blue line, it acts as support, and we bounce off. Then we're off to the races in Ethereum, right? Back here, when this happened back in November, right? We passed the resistance, but when we tested it again, it didn't hold. We didn't hold it, and we went below, and we've stayed below since. So be careful here with Ethereum. I would not be surprised if Ethereum closes below this blue line. We'll have to see. We have until Sunday to see where we finish the week. But I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down eventually in the next couple months and test this red line again. And then maybe come back up, test the blue line as resistance one more time, and then break through. We'll have to play it by ear. But, and it's up to you. You need to decide what you're going to do if you jumped in that trade with me. I hope you did. I hope you jumped in that trade with me. You could have jumped in any trade with me and you'd be winning versus Bitcoin, right? But I hope you jumped in that one, because that's like the biggest winner. I told you it was going to be the quickest turnaround. And, hey, we nailed it. We nailed it. So congratulations if you took it. Now I want to, that's Ethereum, right? Let's congratulate ourselves. I hope you took profits. I took profits. Congratulate ourselves. But let's keep an eye on for our next trade. I haven't done anything with those profits yet. I'm waiting for, I have another chart, a 6 chart I'm watching. Hasn't broken out yet. I'm not going to bring it to the channel until I'm comfortable bringing it, because I don't want to ruin my perfect record right now. But so maybe we'll bring it when it's time, but it's maybe several weeks here away from being primed to bring to the channel. We'll see. I'm keeping an eye on it. But that's one. But let's look at the other winners that we have right now, because every single one I brought to this channel is winning. Let's start with the one that I brought to the channel. I said it's bullish, but I didn't enter because, frankly, I had too much money in ADA and in Ethereum, and then my other smaller positions that I've taken. So let's start with the one that I didn't take a position in, but has generated awesome return, and that's Matic. Polygon versus Bitcoin, right? And the Coinbase chart, look at this. So I told you, after we broke this red line as resistance, wait for it to come back down and test support. Look at that. It wicked down to it, hit that line perfectly, support. I said, hey, you might want to get in. Well, look at what's happened since. I mean, it's just taken off. And I wasn't keeping track. I told you probably right around when it was 0.000022 Bitcoin, and now we're at 39. So it's like that's a, a 70% return or something. That's a nice return, and I didn't take it. So I hope some of you maybe did and didn't follow me into my other trades, because that's an awesome return if you manage to take that one. But let's just go up the line here. How about my my AAVE trade, right? AAVE versus Bitcoin, and again, that's Coinbase, and we're looking at the weekly chart. Look at this. I mean, I told you, I said when it crosses that red line as resistance, see if it comes back down, test support, boom, support, and look at that. Right? This is like a 15% gain. It's like 15% gain versus Bitcoin right now. We're winning on this trade versus Bitcoin. So how about another one? Polkadot. Polkadot is starting to run, right? This was the one that we were down a little bit, and this is the trade I took instead of Matic. which I wish I didn't at this point, but oh well, we're still winning, right? Because we got in it back here. We were losing for a few weeks. I said, don't worry, it's going to turn around. Well, look what's happened since. Like four out of the last 5 weeks have been green. And now we're up over 13% on this trade. Every single trade we're winning on. And then let's look at my most bullish one, the one I expect the biggest return. I told you it was going to take a while. I told you it wasn't going to be a quick return. But you know, it might be a year. But I'm expecting a 3x in this trade. And that's ADA versus Bitcoin. And on this one, we're up like 18, 19%. You know, I told you back here before this giant green candle, you might want to think about ADA. And I was moving a huge amounts of Bitcoin into ADA back here before this giant green candle. And it's not even close to done yet. Like I said, I'm expecting a 3x. And it's not going to be a quick return. I mean, when you're playing the weekly chart, these aren't quick returns. But who cares? As long as you are stacking sats, if that's what your goal is, to stack more Bitcoin, then get out of Bitcoin, right? Get out of Bitcoin and when it's the exact opportune moment. And each of these, I've told you at the exact opportune moment. If you had got out of Bitcoin completely and followed my trades, and then just decided, okay, you know, I'm going back into Bitcoin on all of them, you'd have more Bitcoin on every single trade I told you about, every single one. So help me spread the word, right? More people need to hear the message when alt season is coming. If these charts turn bullish, if Bitcoin breaks that resistance line, the alts are going to fly. I mean, just look, you know, yesterday, or, you know, it's a new day already, right? So Bitcoin's up 0.4% today, but look at ADA is already outperforming today. And yesterday, Bitcoin was up, 4% or something like that. Ethereum was up like 8-9%, and ADA was up, I think, a little bit higher than Bitcoin. When Bitcoin starts to run, the alts will kill Bitcoin. Right now, there are times when Bitcoin's going to outrun the alts. It's not right now. And when Bitcoin decides to turn bullish, the alts will crush Bitcoin. With the news that are coming out, the improvements in the protocols for Ethereum and Cardano, and just the fact that all of these alts have just gotten crushed versus Bitcoin for the last 10 months, right? It's time for alt season. And I've been clear on that for weeks on this channel. And every single trade, 5 for 5 alts I brought to this channel, all of them beating Bitcoin, from 13% all the way up to 50%. So I hope you've taken some of those trades. And hey, frankly, if you've taken them and you decide to get out today, congratulations, you have more Bitcoin, right? You have more Bitcoin than you started with. That's all that matters, right? Stacking sats if that's what you want, or frankly, they're all outperforming Bitcoin and they're all up versus the dollar. Bitcoin's up versus the dollar since we've been making these trades. So you'd have more dollars. If you want to get back into dollars, you have more dollars by being in the alts. You know, either way you cut it, we're winning on this channel. Help me spread the word. Help me spread the message, because more people need to hear it. Alt season is here, and alt season is going to last a while. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. My name is Mike. I am the Crypto Liberal. Peace and love. Talk to you tomorrow. Good night.